All right, everybody, it's your boy Cornelius Jones, and I'm back again with another video. We are cranking them out, and I tell you, is as much as I just try to move on to another topic, I have so much I want to get into. I keep coming back to this whole Jesus mythical conversation. I guess the Lord is just not done with the information He wants to get out. But this video is for you guys, you Jesus mythical people. This is for you. I challenge you to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and see if not one thing I say is not factual, if not one thing I say is not verifiable, because I'm going to cite sources in this video and I'm going to take you down a line of reasoning that I'm going to be totally honest with you. You're going to have a very hard uphill battle to climb if you're going to try to argue against this. But I'm sure some of you are going to try. So, this idea that Jesus didn't exist, this idea that Jesus was a fictional character, that's what we're going to discuss in this video. And I've made other videos about it, but I have some more information that I feel is very important to get out to help in the efforts of putting this idea to bed. I'm telling you, this video is going to be the nail in the coffin for all of you logical thinkers. And if you're not a logical thinker, hey, whatever. you can believe that the cow jumped over the moon, all I care. But let's see if you can reason with me as I take you through this, all right? So the first thing I want to talk about, we're talking about history. How do we know anything about history? Right now, I want you to think about something in history that you know is true. And when I say history, I'm talking about something before your time. I want you to come up with an historical claim that you know is true, that where the events and the people surrounded by the events are before your time, before the year that you were born. I want you to put that in your mind right now. Now, you got something? Here's my claim. All historical claims are backed by some literary evidence prior to the time of the people who are making the claim. In other words, every historical claim that we all would agree that is true, all of it can be backed, can be supported by some literary evidence prior to the date of the people making the claim. So, for example, right now we are in the year of 2022. So every historical claim that we can possibly make today can be backed by some literary publication prior to the year 2022. And definitely not before the years of the events the year where the events took place that we're speaking of. That's common sense. No one can make a historical claim without the help or assistance from some literary source that precedes them. That's impossible. And just like you can't foretell the future, we do not have the human ability to go back and think in the past where we did not exist and derive some type of truth claim and know anything for certainty unless we were there ourselves. The only reason we know anything for any type of certainty, any degree or measure of certainty, is because there are literary sources that were published before us. And there's a chain of literary sources that derive from the events much closer to the time that we are speaking of. Now understand, when I say know something for certainty, I simply mean beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? Now, what I am saying can be easily proven false in this manner. Tell me about an historic claim that you know is true, and I will easily find some publication that supports your claim before the year you were born. That's what I'm telling you. If you tell me anything that you know, that I know, that we all can agree on, yeah, that is a true historical claim, you will be able to find a literary piece of work published before the year you were born about that claim, that supports the claim. Now, if I were to make a literary claim today about any time in history that I did not exist, that is not supported by any publication, it's not supported by anyone. In other words, I'm the first person in the whole world to come up with this idea about something that happened centuries before my time. No one would believe me. No one would have a right to believe me, because without the evidence, my claim is baseless. You Jesus mythical people, your claim that Jesus is a myth, that Jesus is a fictional person, is a baseless claim. How is it baseless? Don't we have publications prior to our year that say he was fictional? Yeah, we do. Unfortunately, it is only traced back to the late 18th century. That's where the buck stops for this Jesus mythical bullcrap. Late 18th century. My source for this is just an unbiased source, the encyclopedia of the internet, Wikipedia. Mythicism derived out of the late 18th century and originated with these men: Charles Francois Dupuis, a French professor, and Constantin Francois Valny, a French philosopher. These are the two men that originated the Jesus myth theory. And their work has zero base to it. They do not cite any sources before them because it originated with them. How can these men in the late 18th century know about something in antiquity without any sources, without any help, without any evidence? It doesn't make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to now take you to Wikipedia, and we are going to verbatim, I'm going to read word for word some of the criticism about mythicism, and then we're going to come back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I am just right here opening up for everyone to see where Wikipedia gives us details about this Christ myth theory. Now, as you all know, Wikipedia is a very unbiased source, people. All right, so I'm going to have the link here in the description and in the comment section where you can look at this yourself, or you can just go to Google and put in Christ myth theory, Wikipedia. All right. So this information is right here. I'm not going to read all of this. It's so much to look at about this. But what I'm going to draw your attention to is where the section where it talks about the reception of this Christ myth theory with modern scholarship. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this verbatim. And it says, in modern scholarship, the view that Jesus did not exist at all is considered a fringe theory. Okay, now what is a fringe theory? I'm going to click on that and show you what a fringe theory is. A fringe theory is an idea or a viewpoint which differs from the accepted scholarship of the time within its field. Okay, so a fringe theory is something that's not taken seriously because the men who have done the work disagree. Okay, it's a view that's not accepted by the modern scholarship. Okay, so this Christ myth theory is considered a fringe theory within modern scholarship. All right, so let's go back. All right, so in modern scholarship, the view that Jesus did not exist at all is considered a fringe theory and finds virtually no support from scholars, to the point of being addressed in footnotes or almost completely ignored due to the obvious weaknesses they espouse. Common criticisms against the Christ myth theory include general lack of expertise or relationship to academic institutions and current scholarship, reliance on arguments from silence, dismissal of what sources actually state, and superficial comparisons with mythologies. According to agnostic scholar Bart D. Ehrman, nearly all scholars who study the early Christian period believe that Jesus did exist, and Ehrman observes that mythicists' writings are generally of poor quality because they are usually authored by amateurs and non-scholars who have no academic credentials or have never taught at academic institutions. Maurice Casey, an agnostic scholar of the New Testament and early Christianity, stated that the belief among professors that Jesus existed is generally completely certain. According to Casey, the view that Jesus did not exist is the view of extremists, demonstrably false, and professional scholars generally regard it as having been settled in serious scholarship long ago. All right, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit. Not going to read all of this, but I am definitely going to pinpoint some parts that I feel are just very, very profound. Philip Jenkins, distinguished professor of history at Baylor University, wrote, "What you can't do, though, without venturing into the far swamps of extreme crankery, is to argue that Jesus never existed. The Christ myth hypothesis is not scholarship and is not taken seriously in respectable academic debate. The grounds advanced for the hypothesis are worthless. The authors proposing such opinions might be competent, decent, honest individuals, but the views they present are demonstrably wrong. Jesus is better documented and recorded than pretty much any non-elite figure of antiquity." Did you hear all that? So people, let's just briefly walk down everything that I just stated, the facts, everything I just read. They're facts. Historical claims require historical evidence. Can you deny that? Historical evidence are the literary works that precede our time. Without it, we're just making stuff up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what Charles Francois Dupuis and Constantine Francois Volney did. These French philosophers or professors, the information that Jesus is a myth started with them. Prior to the 18th century, the entire world knew that Jesus was a real person. It was always the right view of modern scholarship up until that point that Jesus was a historical person. So how does Charles Francois Dupuis and Constantine Francois Volney somehow in the late 18th century have this epiphany that 18 years before them, history was done wrong about this person, Jesus? And if that was the case, how did they figure it out? If Jesus wasn't a fiction, if Jesus was a fictional character, somebody would have figured that out before the 18th century. We would have known about it because of the evidence. There's no evidence for this prior to the 18th century. So in the 18th century, why should they believe it? It's false. it can safely be deemed false due to the lack of evidence. There is no way you can argue that. But I'm sure you're going to try, and I'm just going to be honest with y'all, really not going to spend a lot of time in the comments. Not on this video. I mean, I'm going to present the information. This information is factual, and it cannot be argued. It cannot be denied. You have to let go of reason to walk up this hill. So I'm going to leave it at that. This is your boy Cornelius Jones. When I come back, the next video we're going to get into are the manuscripts of the New Testament. Do we have a reliable New Testament? Are the Gospels, are the epistles, are they reliable? Are there sources that we can trust in understanding the details about the life of Jesus Christ? Look forward to that one. This is your boy Cornelius Jones signing off. I will see you on the next video. Be blessed and take care.